Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tomislav Golubovic, and welcome to today's webinar on the new Autodesk AEC Collections. We've set aside an hour for this, but I think we're probably going to be a little bit sooner than that, probably about 30-35 minutes, and then we'll do a little bit of a Q&A towards the end. So for everyone on the call who doesn't know me, I am the Plant and Infrastructure Tech Specialist with Autodesk. I've been here coming on to 6 years now, sometime in November, late November. Previously I was with the companies that you see there, Worley Parsons, GHD. Back then they were called Colin, Wagner. And I've also done work with Fleur, Boeing and Asenco, to name a few, as different type of discipline kind of drafting work. So more recently as a piper within Worley and GHD as well, but I've also done civil, structural, electrical, mechanical, telco, so doing telecommunication towers, aero. So when I did work with Boeing, we did some work with the RAF and also did some naval work with Boeing as well. This was a very, very long time ago. I am Melbourne based. I moved to Melbourne in the early 2000s at some point as a piper, and then obviously when I started with Autodesk I stayed in Melbourne. I did recently have a 2-year stint over in Perth, but ended up coming back to Melbourne. So everything that I do is East Coast based if you're within Australia. And just a little bit more on my background as well. I was a CAD administrator before I started, and also a little bit of programming and doing catalogs and specs for the plant software that we were using at Worley Parsons, and some of that obviously was training. So a lot of the stuff that I used to do I still basically do within Autodesk here, but more so as obviously advising and recommending workflows and best practices for companies who are basically doing exactly what I used to do. So just to kick off, I guess the industry collections were launched on the 1st of August, so there was a little bit of notice for that, but obviously 1st of August came around and that was the end of the old suites that we used to have on the 31st of July. They do come in 3 flavours: the AEC Collection, so Architecture, Engineering and Construction Collection, the Product Design Collection, and the Media and Entertainment Collection. So I'm not covering the product or the media side in this webinar. I'm purely just covering the AEC side. And I guess in sort of a short form, it's just a more convenient and flexible way to access the most essential Autodesk software. So as we progress, I'll go through obviously what each, what is inside that AEC collection, which, you know, to put it in plain old English, it's kind of like the old IDS, BDS and Plant Design Suite basically combined together. So you can see here on the left is the AEC collection. So like I said, I'm not going to cover product and media today, so that will be covered by someone else in another webinar obviously, but you can see here within that AEC collection, so Revit is in there. So Revit is no longer Revit Structure, MEP or Architecture. It is now just called Revit. So it used to be called, I think, Revit OneBox was the other short term for it as well. It also contains AutoCAD Civil 3D, Navisworks Manage. So if you wanted to do clash detection and timeliner, so there's your 4D and your 5D, you do it all inside Navisworks. Obviously AutoCAD is in there just as our base product. AutoCAD Architecture, so again doing architectural layouts inside an AutoCAD kind of session, and same thing goes for AutoCAD Electrical, so to do SLD, so single line diagrams, any schematics or anything that you need to do with electrical wise, it is now inside the AEC collection. Now Map 3D is in there also, so Map 3D and Civil 3D work basically hand in hand. So if you're one of the users who used the old IDS suite, you would have been privy to having Map and Civil working there together as well. So for all of the plant users, the next three products are covered in there: AutoCAD MEP, p&id, and Plant 3D. So MEP is basically, doing things like cable trays and duct and anything that's sort of MEP based in an AutoCAD sense. Because it was in the plant suites, I did get a few requests on how to use that, and basically sitting on AutoCAD with Plant 3D as well, you can just XREF the two back and forth. So you do your cable trays and your ductwork in MEP, and you just XREF back to Plant. AutoCAD PenID, if anyone is unaware, so P&id stands for Piping and Instrumentation Diagram. So similar to electrical, where it's a sort of a single line diagram of a electrical schematic, a PenID is a single line kind of diagram of a plant. So you might draw your pumps and your tanks, and then you do a single line going between those pumps and tanks. So they don't represent anything dimensionally correct. It's just a line that goes from one to the other, with obviously all the inline fittings in that as well. So those PenID documents can be basically used as a basis for the Plant 3D side. So Plant 3D can take those PenID documents and make them from kind of a single line kind of diagram or a drawing into a 3D model of that pipework going between that tank and that pump and any other inline items as well. I have covered Plant 3D before, and I'll give everyone on the call a link to our Autodesk ANZ website to see more videos on the workflows and how all of that works. Rasadesign is an interesting one. It's been in a lot of the suites previously, and now it's obviously in one of the collections, in the AEC collection, and it's there to do your raster to vector. So if anyone has an old drawing that's been scanned as maybe a JPEG file, we can convert that from the JPEG and either edit that JPEG. So you might do, maybe if you're doing some as-building, or if you're doing some changes to an existing drawing or a plant or a PenID or whatever, then you can take out certain objects and then put the new ones in. With AutoCAD 2017, we had a new feature of PDF importing, so you don't need to use anything like raster design, but this is for other file formats. We've also got in there utility design and vehicle tracking and 3ds Max. So utility design is again just for utilities, so above ground, underground utilities, and again on our YouTube site there is a really handy video that one of my counterparts, Andrew Milford, has done of laying out utility design in sort of a 2D fashion, and then when you can switch around to 3D, and it works inside AutoCAD, and even, I guess even better, it works with Civil 3D as well. Vehicle tracking is again an interesting one. It's used basically to lay out paths for vehicles. You can do trucks, you can do cars, you can do buses, you can do planes. You can even get architectural practices using it for laying out buildings. So in particular, an interesting one is having companies use it for something like a hospital. So you can lay out the rooms and any, I guess, hallways or doors for things like wheelchairs or any of the beds, or even machinery that needs to be wheeled in and out. So you can use that not only just for outside out on the roads, you can use it for inside a building. And 3ds Max there. So 3ds Max is kind of your 3D modeling, and you can do renderings and that sort of stuff in it. So on top of all of that, I'm going to talk about the 360 products. So InfraWorks 360 is there, so it's our conceptual infrastructure modeling tool. If you've been keeping an eye on my LinkedIn or YouTube website, you'll see a lot of videos of that as well. AutoCAD 360 Pro is something I spoke about at the recent Autodesk University in Sydney. So it's essentially AutoCAD up in the cloud. You can have a file open on your PC off the cloud, and you can have that same file open in a web browser and also on something like an iOS device as well, or a portable mobile device. And all three sessions can be looking at the same file and have basically a discussion feed on what is going to happen to that file. So very, very handy if you're taking your AutoCAD files out to site or to another office. You can use the 360 feature within AutoCAD. So Format 360 Pro is, if anyone has been using something like Google SketchUp, so that's something that you can use within Format to conceptualize something like a building. You can put levels in it and geolocate it. You can just basically sketch whatever you want the idea that you want to convey it. So yeah, and then once you do have it, again, being a 360 product, it sits in the cloud, and then you can send that file out to Revit directly. So Insight is again being a 360 product. So it's does things like building energy and performance. So again, all cloud-based. You send your models up to the cloud and get your outcomes for the building life cycle. Recap 360 Pro, I think it's one of my compared with InfraWorks, it's one of my favorites. Recap 360 Pro. It's just one of those products we bring in point clouds, we convert them to a recap project, and then we can bring them into any Autodesk software. So for again, plant and infrastructure is more so my background. So the plant users can bring in a laser scan of a site, and within Plant 3D we can find the center line of a particular piece of pipe, get that center line and convert it to a piece of pipe, and then do existing. Within something like Revit, we can bring the point cloud into Revit and build new walls off existing walls, and then even we can send those recap models up to the cloud as well. So I don't necessarily touch on any of the BIM 360 products, but it is something that we can send up to the cloud as well. And then lastly in there is rendering in A360 and structural analysis. So these are both cloud functionality, again just rendering in the cloud and doing your structural analysis in the cloud as well. So again, compared to buying 3 different suites before plus extra cloud options, you basically get all of that inside the AEC collection now. So everything, again, I guess the word is just making it simpler, moving from 20 plus suites. So when you look at what we had with BDS, IDS, Plant Design Suite, plus obviously all of the other product and the media kind of suites, we've now just gone to those 3 industry collections, and each one of them basically focuses on the most essential Autodesk software for that industry. And in regards to being simpler, again, as we progress over time, the collections will evolve and more products can be added, and again getting instant access to the latest updates as well. And more cloud services, so you don't have to worry about, if you were a plant user and you wanted to conceptualize a site and you wanted to buy InfraWorks separately, now obviously part of that as well. And obviously with these collections and new offerings are more flexible term lengths, which we'll cover in a little bit later. So with the single user access, it works the same as a single user for the individual products. You do require an Autodesk login, which you can get for free, and it is cloud-based authentication and licensing. So you do need to log in, and you can see there that there is an internet connection required for the first use, and then maybe for whatever reason, if you happen to be using it on a laptop, you can have up to 30 days of offline use without needing to connect. And again, that third last note there, full access to the cloud services for one user. So if you were to buy it just for yourself, then obviously you get full access for that. So if you were looking at it for multi-user access, so you essentially check out the entire collection. You're not just checking out the individual products. You can, however, mix individual products, the old suites and collections in the same license file, and you can give access to all the cloud services for up to 3 named users per service. If anyone wants to know, the cascading order is the term point, the perpetual, the collection, and then the perpetual suites. I would highly recommend, if you're going to be looking at multi-user access, obviously talk to either someone at Autodesk or someone from our channel and get them to best work out what kind of access you need and how you need it as well. Again, every company is different, depends on users, depends what you want to do, depends where you want to use it, how you want to use it, why you want to use it, all that sort of stuff. So there is multi-user access obviously within the collections. So this is just an example of the multi-user access. The customers subscribes to an industry collection, and if multiple users have access to it, only one accesses it at any one time. So if you have a company of let's say 10 users and you've bought 3 collections, the first 3 people that log on in the morning and grab a license for a collection, not necessarily a single product, will get access to that collection. So again, this is where I said before, with multi-user access, it might be that some people have single user access just for that collection, and then you might offer multi-user for various other people as well. So again, just have a good long hard think about how you need it and how you want it, and obviously talk to someone if you want a little bit more information on that. Within the Autodesk account, so if you're maybe one of the administrators on the Autodesk account, you can group them into your account, which you'll see obviously once you pay for it, you'll see it inside your account. And the Autodesk account has enhanced search, sort and filter capabilities with download and install permissions as well. So within the user management, you can nominate what they get access to within that Autodesk account, and even things like the names for the collections and what those end users will see as well. So maybe you've got some people who will just be AutoCAD users, and maybe you've got some people who will be plant users, but that'll all appear inside your Autodesk account. So what happens is, unlike the suites, you don't download a collection, so it's not like a 50 gig download. So you buy the collection, you'll see it appear in your account, and then you might download Plant 3D, for example, and InfraWorks 360, and then you do the installation from there. I guess if you really wanted to and you're a network administrator, you could probably download them all and maybe make a deployment out of it. But again, in all honesty, once you download all of them and install it, you're going to end up with a lot of products on one machine where people just don't need it all. So this is to reiterate that second option there. Users only download the individual products themselves. So like I said in the previous slide, the download permissions allow the administrators to control the distribution of products and updates as well to various people. So it entirely depends on who is using what and when they may need it. And you can see there as well, the installation and deployment are on a product basis, so not on a collection, but of an individual product. So this is just a little picture of the sum of the 360 products you get it. So Format 360, InfraWorks and Recap, for example. There is more cloud services, so like you would have seen in that first slide, InfraWorks, Format, recap, rendering, structural analysis, insight, so that there are just some of them, but you can have up to 3 named users per cloud service for the multi-user access within your collection. So again, you'll just have to go through and work out which 3 want to use it. I guess you could probably decide on a Monday that a particular 3 get access for that week, and then the next week maybe a different group of 3 people get that access. So there are a couple pricing options. You can go to obviously one of our resellers, and there is also the online store. Please make sure if you're from Australia, if you're viewing this from Australia, that you log on to the Australian store and see the price there as well. So there are obviously different subscription terms. So you've got monthly and yearly and multi-yearly. And you can see there, just with basic support, it's $3,780 per year. But again, please check. If you log into the US store, you will, or European or something else, it may be different. So just again, just check that you're logging into the Australian store there as well. So for more information, go to the website there, autodesk.com/collections, which you will see. So I'll just load that up now for people to just see while I'm talking about it. Okay, so once you do look at the website, we do have the industry collection says, so AEC Product Design and Media. So for this one, if you're looking at the AEC, you can see there, so there's the price, but obviously that I'm going to have to log into the Australian website for that price there as well. If I click on see more products, you will see all the products that are in there, and then click on the link to take you to more information as well. So get outside of this webinar if you need to have a look on there. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about interoperability. This is just something that I usually show to people, and it'll kind of make sense, I guess, once the slide finishes. So this is all of the products within the AEC suite. So you can see there the AutoCADs, the architectures, the MEPs, the plants, the p&ids. Now this will show arrows going back and forth, so where it took, so that Civil 3D goes back and forth with vehicle tracking, AutoCAD MEP and plant go back and forth, so p&id goes into plant, and then plant goes back and forth with Navisworks. So if people weren't aware, AutoCAD can read Navisworks files now. They have to be, I think, NWCs. And you just, inside your AutoCAD session, you can attach Navisworks coordination files in there now, basically to kind of, you don't necessarily do clash detection within it, you just, sort of look at it in manual processes, clash avoidance. So recap basically goes into anything and everything. I didn't show it in there, but recap does go into InfraWorks. So there should be really another arrow there. Recap goes into AutoCAD, into MEP, into Plant 3D, into 3ds Max, into Civil. So again, it's just one of those products that will go into pretty much almost anything. Rasadesign being anything AutoCAD, so raster into Civil 3D. If you bring in a rastered file that has contours on it, when you import it and convert it, you can get it to pick the contours, and it'll actually draw them in on their proper levels as well. So again, something handy for people who are doing civil work where they're converting an old file. You can convert it from a 2D to 3D with surfaces in there. If you've got an old p&id, we can convert the raster to vector and bring it into p&id and make it intelligent as well. So no, that's kind of a funny diagram, but it does, in my mind, show how everything can go back and forth. Okay. So this is where I highly encourage people, if they want to see any of these workflows, then to get in touch with your reseller, even Autodesk, and we can go over these individually, or obviously just customize it to suit whatever it is that you guys are working on. So this is just a couple videos showing what happens within each of the products. So you've got the A360 cloud rendering. So my counterpart there, Sam McAllister, has done some views inside Revit, and we can send that up to the cloud. Andrew Milford talks about some videos about cloud syncing with InfoWorks. So again, you pull down the model off the cloud, you edit it and modify it, and then we synchronize that model back up into the cloud to let other people see it. And also, if you're working on p&ids, then you can see there the video down the bottom right corner, just drafting up some p&ids in preparation for some 3D modeling. So that's just a couple of videos there on how all of that works. And then also we've got Civil 3D to InfoWorks. So if you've done your detailed design inside Civil, we can bring that into InfoWorks as a second proposal, I guess, and you could overlay the two. There's a video there of AutoCAD Electrical with its project set up and its different diagrams. And then as well also Sam McAllister talks about Timeliner and Navisworks. So if you're looking to use something like Microsoft Project or Primavera within Navisworks, we can connect those into there and use the Gantt charts and attach objects to those Gantt, to those tasks, and basically end up simulating the project before anything is done out on site. So you know, again, I'm a big fan of Navisworks. I think it's just one of those tools. It does it'll do a lot of file formats, and it'll go through into your Clash, into your timeline, regardless of those file formats as well. Just a quick note for some upcoming webinars. If you're interested in looking at InfoWorks, Civil 3D and vehicle tracking, so Stephen Ellis will be talking about that tomorrow as it goes, the 24th of August. Next week, Sam will be talking about Format and InfoWorks 360. On the 14th of September, I will talk about Revit building services. So for things like Revit and doing fabrication, so we can send our fabrication models out to CAD MEP and SMEP, and then even CAM ducts to be cut on machines. And on the 21st of September, Stephen will talk about the traffic analysis and simulation. So again, that's just one of those cool things inside InfoWorks where we can nominate an intersection and analyze how cars are passing through the intersection, and even do mobility simulation, so have people walking across zebra crossings or up and down paths, and see how that will affect the flow. So the link is there, autodesk.com.au/campaigns/webinars/AEC webinars. So you'll be able to register there. So if any of those four interest you, they're the ones coming up in the next couple of months. Just to give you an idea on where to follow me on social media, and if you want some more information, so if you go to YouTube and look up Autodesk ANZ, that is our channel. So you'll see there we have videos and playlists. So this webinar will actually pop up on there later today, if not tomorrow. So you'll be able to look at it at a later date, or refer it on to other people. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, there's my full name. So just connect with me there. I publish the odd post up there every now and again. Usually try to do something every couple of weeks on different topics and subjects. If if there's something that you think about later and you want to email it to me, there's my email address, so tomislav.golubovic@autodesk.com. Shoot it over to me. If I don't know it, then I can pass it on to someone that does, or even sit down with you and we can do something live online, or if you happen to be in Melbourne or in one of the other cities that I travel to regularly, then we can do stuff live as a one-on-one with you as well. So I cover a lot of things, so with AutoCAD and PenID and Plant and InfoWorks and touching on Revit and a few other products as well, so we can go over a lot of that. If you're a Twitter user, then my Twitter handle is @plant3d in Oz. So yeah, usually sort of what I publish to LinkedIn usually gets replicated over to Twitter as well. So regardless of which social media platform you use, you'll see it on both anyway. So that kind of covers it. Like I said, it's short and sweet. You know, we didn't go the full hour, but I'm happy to open it up to any questions. If anyone has any, I'm more than happy to try and answer them now. Otherwise, yeah, talk to your local reseller. If you happen to be talking to an Autodesk rep as well, ask them about the collections, and then they should be able to help you answer it as well. So I'll give it a couple minutes while people maybe think of any questions. Wow. Looks like we've got no questions, so it looks like I've answered. Thanks for the comment, Richard. No dramas. As it goes, I think I'm coming over to Perth in a couple of weeks, so we can probably touch base when I'm over in Perth in early September. Okay. So yeah, so like I said, I've recorded this, and then we're going to publish this online. There'll be a couple of sites for it, so a webinars website on Autodesk, and it'll go up on YouTube, and then yeah, you can have a look at it online and then point it over to whoever else wants to see it. All right. Thanks, everyone. Like I said, if you need to get in touch with me, there's my details there. And then, yeah, hopefully we can talk more about the collections and how it may help you with your current workflow or future workflows. Thank you.